Hello, Deb. Hello, Jody. Hello, Susan. Hello, hello. Let's make sure, close your eyes. I'm adjusting the camera again. Make sure we have everything lined up nicely. I don't know. There we go. You know, it'd be so much easier if setting it up for a video was the same as setting up for a live stream, but it always seems to be different. Cats always have to get involved. They're scratching on the furniture. So welcome, welcome. Susan from Maine is here. Hey, Robin from Florida is here. Ha ha ha. I have zero sense of humor. YouTube had a little glitch earlier and we ended up with 2 live streams, so hopefully all of that is straightened out. I am trying to get myself untangled from the microphone. I'm taking one of the larger clips and attaching the microphone extra cord to my shirt. Hopefully that will keep me from doing anything weird and oh my god, we're gonna have problems today, guys, because I have been having issues talking all week long. And that light is blinding me. Seattle in the house. I'm in limbo. So while I currently reside in Cape Coral, I'm definitely in limbo at the moment. We got glares all over the place. We'll do a little Arizona update once everyone starts popping in. I managed to get another scissors block done. Deb from Iowa. We have a few Iowa people here, a couple Wisconsins. Jackie it's always at lunchtime for Jackie. I put a little poll. We're going to be sewing the blue scissor block. I have it all prepped and ready to go for us. It's a really great block and it's super simple. Hi Pat, I'm sorry for anyone I missed. I didn't mean to not say your name, but hello to those people that have popped through that I've missed, and hello to the people on the replay, and hello to all those incognito people that are just hanging out and watching and prefer to not join us in the chat. And to those of you that are spending your time today hanging out with us and doing your chores like the dishes and the laundry, thank you so much for hanging out with us while you're doing that. I'm glad I can keep you company during some of those boring chores that we all have to do. I am sewing all of the little... Oh, Gilbert, Arizona. Laura, how's the weather? Is it down to like 110 there yet? Has the temperature started dropping? I'm taking all of these cut off corners and I'm actually sewing them into something, and I'm feeling a bit wild and crazy about it. My daughter's still in Pennsylvania and she said it was in the low 80s. It was 79 degrees the other day. She's just outside of Pittsburgh. I'm like, that's crazy. The people she's been working with, they're like, oh, Miranda, look, it's so humid today. And she just laughed at him. She's like, that's not humid. Come on down to Florida. I'll show you humid. I think sometimes those numbers can be misleading, that if we both have 80% humidity, I think that the moisture is already in our air and then it makes it seem more humid, because there's just some days where I'll talk to some of you guys in another state and your humidity levels will be the same as mine, but when I walk out the door, it's like walking right into a thick steamy oven. I got lost. I forgot what I was doing. Ooh. Oh, 104. Hey, that's a little bit better, right? I've always been talking about the heat index. You know, the real feel is this, the real feel is that. And I don't know if I just didn't listen to the weathermen when they had that during the weather classes, but the feel like temperature is actually what it feels like in the shade. So when they come through and they're like, you have 118 heat index, I'm like, oh, in the shade? That's crazy. No wonder why people are struggling so much. I'm really looking forward to some cooler weather. I don't think we're going to get it here in Florida. Let me finish this one, and then I'll press them open, and then we'll start working on our project and doing a little chit chat. I'm going to do a tutorial on this little scrappy, we'll call it a technique for what it is. I mean, anyone can do it. I guess it still falls underneath the technique category. But wake up the iron, of course. I always have to say that. I like the cordless iron. I use it all the time. It's great, especially in this room, because I trip over so many things as it is. But sometimes it'd be nice not to have to wake up an iron. But even with a cord one, you still have to wake it up, right? Yeah, it's been very hot. It's been crazy hot in places. And then it seems a little early for some of you guys' places to start getting the cooler temperatures. I don't know. It's been crazy. We had the El Nino, one or the others, Niños, whichever one it is, that gives you milder weather. And then we had the Saharan dust. So all of that is kind of like doing something weird and kicking it all up. But our Gulf temperatures are warmer now. So I think we had 3 or 4 tropical situations they're watching now to see if they'll turn into hurricanes. While I'm pressing this, let's do a little quick Arizona catch up for everyone. I'm still in Florida. I know I've confused people by selling my house and moving. I just moved into my kids' house. Hold on, iron's got something funky on it. So I'm just in a little office room here that I'm using as a bedroom studio. We're Arizona, we're waiting for the big hotshots to do this, that, and the next thing. And when they start working on the new Mission Barbecue location, then we have a timeline on when to go. So they had 2 basic locations that they were thinking about doing. One of them is in Surprise, and it will be in Surprise at some point. But the owner of the strip mall is arguing with the people that are surveying it. So the Surprise location has been postponed a year. Dun, dun, dun. So now they have to go to location 2. They had a feeling something like this was going to happen. See, I'm making teeny tiny hourglass blocks. They had a feeling that this was going to happen, that number 2 store would open before number 1. But we were all just kind of hoping. Leaves are starting to turn. Wow. Is it early for you guys in Wisconsin, or is it about on schedule? So right now, Arizona is going to happen, but it's definitely up in the air. We don't have any time frame. We don't know if it's still going to be in a couple months, or we don't know if it's going to be next summer, or what it's going to be. So I had my, polite way to put it, first I cried, and then I swore, and then I stomped my feet like a little child, because it's like, I was trying to explain to my daughter, it's like saying Christmas is coming, and then 2 weeks before Christmas, they're like, wait, never mind, we have to postpone Christmas until after St. Patrick's Day. You know, you're all prepared, you do all this hard work, and then they're like, oh, never mind, never mind. So, I mean, that's what it is. It is what it is. Hopefully they'll find, their Mission Barbecue is very, very motivated to be in Arizona now. Hi, Jackie. Welcome back. I hope lunch is good. They're very, very motivated, so they're really pushing hard to get a new location so that they can get the store open. Because once they get one open, then it's really easy to do the chain reaction. Because while you're building the community with this one, behind the scenes, you can be preparing for the next run of stores. So that's what they're hoping to do. I think they're talking about having like each area manager, area director of operations can have 5 stores. And they're talking about having 3 area guys in the, not just Arizona, but kind of like surrounding area. So they're really planning on building a lot of stores. It's just that first one that just takes so long. It's so frustrating, right? Because I like to just, I don't know, everyone always says, what are you drinking today? So today, like the last couple of lives, I am double drinking. I have blackberry ginger ale in this one, and I have mixed berry water, those little packets of water you can put in to flavor your water. So that's what's in that one. So today I'm going to drink both of them. Now what that means for you guys though is basically nothing's going to change, except I've said it to many times to many of you that I refuse to open the tape of the boxes of fabric that are in storage. I don't want to do it. I don't want to be digging through it. So guess what I got to do? I got to dig through the boxes of fabric in storage. It just needs to be done. So I have had several requests for more scrap bundles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to storage sometime this week, pull out a variety of fabric. I don't have scraps to sell in the shop. I just have the scraps that I use, like, you know, the purples and the yellows and just the random ones. So I'm going to create scrap bundles from the fabric that I have. So for those of you that have been waiting, give me a week or two and I'll create some bundles. Once I get an idea of how I'm going to cut the yardage up into scrap bundles, whether I want to do, well, whether you guys want a mixture of strips and squares or just strips or just squares or random shapes or whatnot, I'll figure it out, but then I'll be able to put them into the shop. And I have another Barbie zipper pouch that's in the shop if anyone's interested. I picked up a bundle of fabric, new Barbie fabric. I still have pink lint and fuzz on it, but it's got the little pink pom-poms. So I put that one in the shop this morning. All right, I think that catches everyone up. Arizona's happening, but it's on a delay. It could happen any minute or it could happen next year. So welcome to my world. Hello, hello, Better Days. Happy, welcome, welcome. Sorry, my mouth and my brain aren't connected today. They haven't been connected for a bit, so they're a little confused. But we're going to go ahead and make this. There's a link down below in the description box, and also on Wednesday's Whip It Wednesday video, we are going to make a blue version. I also have the fabric cut out for red scissors, so I'm going to have 4. I haven't decided if I'm going to put these into a wall hanging and just make one wall hanging out of all 4 of them, or if I want to make a pillow and a zipper tote, then maybe one mini wall hanging with one zipper on it, one scissors on it or something like that. So I haven't come up with that, but I have the blue all set. So if you check out the link down below in the description box, this is what it basically looks like. So now I went ahead and laid it all out based on the directions. When I was making the purple scissors, and as I was scrolling down, between the internet misbehaving and also with the ads on the blog post, it was confusing me whether or not, you know, are the directions above the picture, below the picture, what picture is not loading. It was an ad that wouldn't load. So after I got through the purple one, that one took me a bit to do. Making the yellow one was really quick. I did this one in less than an hour, plus getting all set up for today's live stream. So I just used the purple one. I laid it out on my table here, and I just went by looking at this. So it's really simple once you see the design and you know how it all works together to go ahead and make it. So these have the snowballed corners, like stitch and flip. And the only thing that really gets a little complicated is there are some on here where the center knot is, like the bolt. So this is one square. So in that square, we have a background color, then we have the light gray for the scissors, and we have the dark gray for the part where it comes up through, so where they hook together. So that was the only part that really, that section when it did all of this, that really confused me a little bit. But I have it all laid out, and we'll just go ahead and start sewing it. You can follow along by the pictures that are on the blog post. I'm going to leave it this way so I can see it. Now to start with chain piecing, what I did is I cut out the squares to their measurements, And what we're going to do is we're going to put them in the corner. Now the directions say to draw a diagonal line from corner to corner on all of these. I think they're 2-inch background squares. Mine are white. But I put the tape the diagonal tape that I did a video about before, I put that on down onto my machine so I didn't have to draw a bunch of lines. Because what I did with my patrons, here's all my Barbie fabric I just picked up. I picked up some fun ones. And this one just came in the mail before the live stream. So I found this fun scissor fabric. And then I got the Barbie fabric with just the faces on it. But I was using the diagonal thing because I didn't want to draw all of the lines for this flying geese. You guys, you'll even hear it on Sunday's video. All these different flying geese blocks that I didn't want to do all the diagonal lines. So I put the tape back down on my machine and I tested it out based on a drawn line and on how it does with the tape. And it worked out really well. So I'm very pleased with it. So I don't have to mark all of these. But all of these stitch and flips, you'd have to do a diagonal line on all of them. Even these squares are little. They're 1-inch squares. And you'd think like the 1-inch squares might be too small, but they really make a huge difference with the scissor here. Now you can change everything up. You don't have to have silver blades if you don't want to. You can go ahead and change anything up. I'm not even going to use pins or anything. I'm going to go totally wild and crazy. And I'll just put this. Now these, I know the top 4 and these 2 outside pieces have a white square diagonally from each other in the corner. These 2 here in the center, they have the double gray. So I'm going to pull and let that sit underneath. And I'm going to go ahead and stitch just 1 square diagonally onto all of my corners. And as long as your squares are diagonally from each other, it really doesn't matter. Unless you have directional fabric, it doesn't matter. Hi, Sandy. If your corners are top left, bottom right, or top right, bottom left, because you can just flip the block around. And with the diagonal tape, you just line up your square on top. So you don't want to have any of the blue fabric showing in front of the square. And when I flip it over, I don't want to see any white fabric peeking out on the back. And then I know I have it on there right. Of course, you can pin it or clip it or do whatever you need to. Make sure your needle is in the center, 2.0 stitch length. And then I'll just stitch corner to corner, making sure this bottom corner here is lined up on that center red line. And then I can just go like that. And it takes it from corner to corner. I don't use the 1/4-inch lines on the side. I don't do those. Hi, Giovanna. Hi, Cheryl. I used the tape for my half square triangles first time making, and the tape worked great. Yeah. I didn't draw the line. It never bothered me to draw the line, but then when you sit down and you're like, I have to draw 84 lines. I'm like, never mind. I don't want to. Oh, hi, Sue. I didn't see you pop in. You guys are far away. Oh, I'm on top chat, too. I might not see everything that's being talked about. So make sure you're on live chat. Otherwise, YouTube will just show you what they think you want to see and not everything. Make sure I didn't miss much. Okay. And then what I was doing is I was alternating, because if I go to put it like this and I keep all of the square to the left, now I have it overlapping. But since I can sew this diagonal line in any direction, I turned it this way and I alternated them so that I'd have the bulk of the square to the left and then the bulk to the right, and it left me not having to, you have to lift up the foot and pull it out because there's not enough room to get your block underneath and stuff. So I can just alternate them. Just make sure everything is right side facing. And then this one, I'll put the bulk of it on the left side. And it just worked out really well for me that way. I do lift the foot up, and no, I don't have my knee lift on the machine. Mostly because this table is tall and my chair can only go so high that the knee lift just doesn't work for me. One day, everything will line up nicely and I can practice it. I've been practicing a lot of things of I don't wanna, but I have to do it anyway, so let me do it. I mean, that's what life is, a bunch of I don't wanna, but I need tos. So whatever, excuse me, what else is everyone else sewing this weekend or this week? Does anyone have any plans? I'm not going anywhere. I made the mistake of going out last weekend. And it was the last Saturday before school started. And it was a Saturday. Walmart was crazy. The roads were busy. I'm going to wait till a weekday to go out and hit the storage unit. Secretly, I'm hoping... Oh, nice, Jackie. Good. Yeah, like that, the tape that's not quite right, it's perfect for certain things. Like I said, I don't use a 1/4 inch. I just want that center seam, and it works out really well for me. And if I wanted to do the other one, I do a lot of 3/8 inch seams. It'd be great just to use the other one. I want to go and just like wander around Target. Target here has a lot of the plant-based foods and vegan foods and stuff that I'm a flexitarian. I eat mostly plant-based, but I do eat occasionally some meat. But because of my milk allergy, I need to eat a lot of plant-based things, so like yogurts and stuff. And mostly, oh, sorry, cat caught my eye. Mostly Target and Publix are the ones that have a lot of the dairy-free different options for food and stuff. So I thought I'd wander around the big Target, see what they have, go up to the storage unit, pull out. I just think I'm going to randomly pull out fabric and see what I end up with. The scrambled churn dash. That sounds like fun. I like churn dash quilts. Then I'll just cut these apart. This is from the Gypsy Quilter. I just call it the Purple Flower thread cutter. I think it's like it might just be called the thread cutter or something like that, but it's really easy to find. I have another video coming up soon too about another tool that was sent to me from one of the viewers to test out from the Gypsy Quilter. I wanted to call it the Purple Quilter. Now that I've done all of these, even before I take it over to the iron or cut them or anything, I'll just go ahead and I'll take the 2 of them out that I know are for here so I don't mess them up. And then on the diagonal, I'm going to take all the squares that I put over, make sure I'm putting them right side down, and I'll just go ahead and put them across from it diagonally, and then make sure I'm stitching in the proper direction, of course. And I'll do all this half. And that way, it's just one step at the machine instead of the machine to the cutting table to the iron and back and forth. I get it all done in one shot. Hexagon EPP. That sounds like fun. I've seen a lot of people are coming back to their English paper piecing projects, and that they're working on those again, whether they're the more complicated Tula Pink ones that have different shapes and everything, or if they're just doing like hexagons. I have a 60-degree 60-degree diamond English paper piecing project that I decided to machine sew it instead of hand sewing it. That, of course, is in storage. Oh yeah, I'm secretly hoping that if I do the thing I don't want to do, like cut into the storage boxes and open them up, that will push the universe a little bit and then give a little goodwill, and then the Arizona thing will get back on track and everything will work out better. I have to get 2 baby quilts. Oh, fabric is washed. They have that little heart at the bottom, and I can never see half the words at the bottom. Yeah, I don't pre-wash my fabric because I really don't. I like how crisp it is when it has the sizing and stuff in it, and I really don't like ironing the fabric to get the wrinkles out. Oh no, Giovanna, that's not fun. That's when a hand project like knitting, crochet, or English paper piecing works out really well so that you can do a little something in a compact area while you're waiting for your life to get back under control. I saw that they were having new stuff come out and everything. It takes a long time to get down this far into Florida for the new products to come out. I hear about them in the Dairy Free Facebook group. It's like a mama's group, but I just kind of lurk in there to get recipes and stuff. And they're talking about, oh, this is coming out and this has come out. I'm like, no, it's not coming here. It takes forever to come down here. I think because we're limited on our grocery stores and we have like Walmart, Aldi's, Publix, and a Winn-Dixie, and they don't do that. A lot of them don't do the different plant-based options. Walmart's getting a little bit more in there. Like I have these corn dogs in there I like because I'm allergic to milk and soy. That sometimes is hit or miss with the plant-based. So I just mainly cook whatever I need to eat, but it's nice when I can just buy something at the store. It is hard. It is a little bit hot to put a big crochet project in your lap. That's definite. My son Justin is in charge of the electric bill here, and so he's in charge of the thermostat. It's kind of a rule that my kids did. Whoever pays the bill is in charge of what happens. And he likes to keep the AC down at 76, so it kind of gets chilly in here. I have a sweater that I put on, and then I have a sweater that I take off when it gets a little warm. You know how it gets after a certain age. And that's mostly what I do. Because it gets cold a lot in this room, so then I put it on, and then certain times of the day it gets warm again. So now I'm going to look again and match up the blocks with here, so that is there and that is there, but I know like the light gray has to go down first. This is a layered project and you don't want to put these on yet. You want to put the light gray on first, and it doesn't matter in the center here if anything overlaps because we're going to stitch from corner to corner. So I need to put my light gray down first and then stitch diagonally on that line. My gray is a solid, so there's no right side or wrong side. And then after I trim everything up, then I can put the darker gray on. I mean, I think you could put like maybe black for your scissor blades, or if you want to put a gold on there or something, I think that would work. I heard the Impossible Meat is pretty good. Walmart sells them in Maine. Yeah, I went to we have a little neighborhood Walmart less than a half a mile from the house, and that Walmart is hit and miss, and it's usually empty a lot, but I just run up there for a few things. But if I really want to go grocery shopping, I have to go somewhere. Like Target is really good here about having a lot of the different frozen dinners and like the different ice creams and stuff like that. Because when it comes to a normal meal, I just make a meal. I make my own pizza, I bake my own bread. But sometimes, like at a live stream night, it's nice if I already have like a TV dinner type thing, like the pot pie, because I always enjoyed a good pot pie. Today, I didn't time it very well because I bought some zucchini. If anyone watches In the Kitchen, Crocs in the Kitchen, so they do a plant-based thing here on YouTube, and they did a meatloaf recently, and I'm trying to not use meat substitute, because I have issues with beef, but I can eat a lot of the other meats. I just choose not to. I find I feel better when I don't eat meat products. And then I save it up so that if I want to have a nice juicy steak, then, you know, I can go ahead and have the steak and still feel good because I haven't been eating a bunch of bad food. Okay, so for all of these, so I just want to get something. But tonight I'm going to make a meatloaf after the live stream, which is crazy. But it's got... I think it has rice, black beans, mushrooms, onions, zucchini, and a bunch of spices and stuff. It changes from day to day, yeah. They set it and forget it. It's been the same temperature for the last couple of houses, and for 4 or 5 years, it's always been the same. Yeah, try the Target. I know, like, when my youngest Robbie was looking for like quick TV dinners when he didn't really want to do too much cooking, he could find a lot of the like the Asian dishes and stuff like that, and a variety of things, and not just like pot pie or that meatloaf slices and gravy and stuff. They have a lot of variety of things. 64. Oh my goodness, I would freeze. Yeah, black beans, I love black beans. I eat them all the time. But what's really good is that meatloaf doesn't have any of the lentils in it. I tried making sloppy joe with lentils, and the first time I made it, I'm like, okay, this is pretty good. But then as I was eating the leftovers, I'm like, you know what? There's just something about the lentils. See, I'm saving all the cutoffs, and I'll make these little tiny hourglass blocks with it because there's just so many pieces that I'm cutting off, and I'm cutting off 1/4 of an inch away from the sewing line, and I am using my rotary cutter and this little Creative Grids ruler. It's a little 6.5 by, I think it's 1.5 inches. It has a nice 1/4 inch line right here, but that way all of these pieces are the same size, so when I sew them together, all of these will come out to be about the same size, and then I can just trim them up. A winter would be nice. I've given up on winter in Southwest Florida because I don't think we had but maybe 2 days where it actually got a little below 80 degrees the past winter or so. It's been crazy. And when I get to the gray ones, I'm going to set that aside because I need to stitch that second little dark gray square on it. I don't mind lentils a little bit, but it was just a little bit too much for me. So I knew that there's meatloaf recipes with lentils, but I didn't want to try that. So I'm going to try this meatloaf. And yeah, it's if you go into it thinking, oh, it's not a beef meatloaf, it doesn't have beef and pork and all of that in it, you can't think of it to be like the same. It's different. It's never going to taste the same. But if you get the good seasonings in it and everything and you flavor it the way you like, it's going to be pretty good. We're only a little bit wondering about, Justin and I are one, well, I'm curious and he thinks I'm crazy because we both love meatloaf, but he doesn't think the consistency is going to be very good. But I looked and I saw them and when they made it on their YouTube videos, and it looked pretty good to me. I mostly want meatloaf to have leftovers for sandwiches. I like a meatloaf sandwich with some mayonnaise and a piece of cheese on it. They've gotten much better with the plant-based cheeses. All right, so here's a gray square. So I'm going to trim that off, and we'll set that up here because we're going to have to sew that again. Now when I put the next little tiny 1-inch square on, I'm definitely not going to be saving those little pieces. So I'm going to do these first just to wake up, iron. It's not just with you guys. I always forget even when I'm sewing by myself. I want to go ahead and press these, and that way I can add these little tiny squares onto them. Now for these, in the directions, as you're going, they tell you press this one that way and that one the next way. And I did press them all open on the purple one, and then I tried pressing them. I ran out of time because I wanted to make sure I got it done before I hung out with you guys. So the purple one, all of the seams are pressed open until I sewed everything together. So that worked out really well. But on the yellow one, I couldn't get them to press open. So I just waited till I got to the sewing machine, and then I just flipped one way or the other based on what I needed. So I have a lot of twisted seams and stuff like that, but as they say, that will quilt out. Oh yeah, no, every time, even if it's something that I've been buying for 4 years, 5 years, every time I go to the store, no matter what it is, whether it's peanut butter or it's cheese, anything, I pick it up and I look at the ingredients. Even ground beef and like frozen chicken patties, chicken breast, you have to look what is in it because they change it all the time. So I have to read every time to make sure. Now the soybean, it just causes a little anaphylactic shock. My mouth swells up and my throat closes, no big deal. But the dairy is more of a digestive issue, and I don't like that one, so I can usually tell if something has one or the other in it as soon as I start eating it. I make one with turkey, spinach, and ground walnuts. I don't know about ground walnuts. So I'm just going to press these both out away from the center. Again, read the directions. She tells you which way to press them, and it makes everything lie nice and flat. So to save on time, I'll just go ahead and leave that. So before I get to those, I want to sew the little corners on. Now, again, if you don't want to deal with putting these little 1-inch squares on, then you can just go ahead and skip that. I think the cats went crazy. I thought I heard Robbie getting up. But anyway, so I want to take this and I'm going to put it on here, and I'm just going to stick it right on the end here. I'm going to line it up like I would with a regular square, and then just sew diagonally. And I'm going to do it on the light gray on both of these. We're going to end up doing it on 4 squares, but right now we're just making this square and this square. And this one you could probably almost eyeball it without drawing the line or even having the tape. Oh, you have problems with onions? I have a latex allergy, and because of that there's like a tropical crossover is what they explained to me. Because of the latex allergy, I can't eat like raw mangoes. I can't have raw apples, kiwis, certain bananas if they're not ripe enough and stuff like that. All of those things make my mouth itchy or my throat swell up. But if it's cooked, like I can eat an apple pie, no problem. Oop, make sure you're putting it on the gray and right sides together and not the white. Yeah, I know, like I'm allergic to oranges, and I know growing up I started drinking grapefruit juice because orange juice always bothered my stomach. So I know certain things I was born with, but like the milk allergy, I got that. It kicked in after I had Robbie. So when I was 30, I found out I was allergic to milk. And I knew about the latex for a bit. I figured it out with like balloons and stuff like that. But the soy wasn't in a lot of things previously. So I'm going to cut that off a 1/4 inch again. It's just in the last few years that soybean oil, because it's such a cheap oil, is in everything. Those are way too tiny to play with. So I just press this over again, and that gives me, I think once I press everything, that'll give me all of the handles of my scissors. Yeah, the doctors were telling me something like once you cook it, there's some type of like a protein or something. I don't know if that's the right word for it. It could just be simply like histamine, like you said. You would know better than I would. I always forget everything, so I trust in what you're saying. That, here we go. That once you cook it, it cooks it out of it. So now I just have this weird looking thing. But when you put them together, it gives you that little center button thing. Hi, Morsey. All of the cats woke up early today, so at 2 o'clock or 2:30ish, they all had, everyone had some crunchies. They all had some dry food, so hopefully they won't scream at us too soon. Yeah, soybean is like crazy everywhere. And then when you read like the labels, it's like it contains canola, soybean, or olive oil or whatever. And what it just drives me crazy when you go to buy butter and it's an olive oil butter spread and the first ingredient is soybean oil. Like, if people are expecting it to be olive oil, you want olive oil in it. Hello. I think Robbie just came out to get a drink. I didn't close the bedroom door because I didn't expect Robbie to get up. Justin went out for the day, and like I said, Miranda's still in Pennsylvania, so we're basically alone. Alrighty then. So that gives us this. And what we can do is, I can put it back here on my board, I guess, so we can look at it. So I'm just going to look at my purple one, and I'll just put everything in lined up just like that. I just think I love this little circular donut thing. That I guess some of them are like hugs and kisses, because it can create an X in here if you want. But I've always liked that kind of design. And then this one, so here we go, we got the handles going, and then this will go here. I mean, you can be crazy. I personally would want all blue handles, so if you wanted to use 8 different blues, I don't think there's a problem too much with that. But certain things I don't want to go crazy scrappy with. I like having one fabric for all of these. So now I can look down at the next areas. So I have some simple ones here. I have this one here, just has the 1 stitch and flip. This one has multiple steps and multiple steps. This one is just a stitch and flip. This is a rectangle, a little stitch and flip, stitch and flip, stitch and flip, stitch and flip, rectangle. So it's easy to go ahead and just, again, leave the ones with those little dark gray centers there. Leave that for a second and work on the borders or outer squares and go from there. Everybody's at work. Isn't that nice? Yeah, I can't do, I lived on cold tomato sandwiches. I'd have tomatoes, yellow American cheese, Hellmann's mayonnaise or Miracle Whip, I think we had growing up, on a good old white Wonder Bread. And I lived on that growing up, you know, not quite on the farm, but near the farm. And now, after a certain age, I couldn't eat tomatoes anymore. That was really sad. So I'm still with diagonal, make sure everything's lined up, right sides together. I did find that laying all of these out first, the purple ones, I just read the directions and then I had everything, all of my 2-inch blocks and stacks, and I'm like pulling from here and there. But putting it all out on the design board or just on my table has made it really easier to figure out what I want. You're in bed. I've been sitting in my bed 7, 8 o'clock at night. I lean up against the wall, and because my TV is over here, my bed's back there. I lean up against the wall, and I'll pretend like I'm watching TV, but I'm really falling asleep. I have my knitting bag next to me, so it just feels like I'm knitting, and I'm getting nothing accomplished. Which is why it takes me so long to get anything done. Now, on the bottom one, what I do is I look at the picture or I look at my scissors and I just double check. Do I need it to fold this way? Or do I need it to fold, do I need it to go to the bottom left corner or bottom right corner? And that's going to determine which way you're going to sew it. So I can just look right up and just refresh myself and say, oh, okay, I need to do the diagonal for it to be in the bottom left corner. No problem. And just remember when you get to your sewing machine that you don't do like I do and get things all twisted and turned around. So you just double check. And I like to sew from the edge of the fabric versus the corner, because the corner always gets sucked in. And that irritates me. Rest is an accomplishment. Rest is very nice. Giovanna, tell Jody where you are. You're pretty far away. I can't remember exactly where. No, I don't want to make a mistake. But you're in a different time zone. She's ahead of us. That's why it's so late for her. It is going to be interesting, though, that Arizona has no daylight savings time, and it's 3 hours behind from where we are, or 2 hours, depending on the time of the year, and everything gets crazy. Hi, Jean. Italy. Yes, 9:41. Leaders and enders, yes, but even when I have the block already here, sometimes if I go corner in first, it's still, the needle's got to go right in that corner, and a lot of times the corner will get sucked down. So whether you have a leader or ender, it's not going to help you when you're going right at the corner. So if I go more up to the side of the block and start stitching there, then it becomes easier because I have more area to grab and it doesn't get sucked in. Because those feed dogs, leaders or enders or not, those feed dogs are going to really suck it in and cause an issue. I'm going to use these little cut-off triangles for my attempt at a leader ender because I haven't done much of a leader ender project. I just usually, if I want to sew a project, I just sew a project. I don't make a lot of quilts, so for me a leader ender doesn't work for the way I make like zipper pouches and bags and stuff. I like to just sew random scraps when at the end of the day when I'm bored and I have nothing going on, or I don't work on a project. Yeah, I'm going straight down the center for these, so that's probably what it is too, because the needle's right there. Now I have, on these center ones, I have, this one has 2 corners of white background and 1 of the dark gray. I'm going to take that dark gray off. These have to go at diagonal. Now this square is the dark gray, and it has white in each corner. And then we have to do the double gray like we did here. So I'm going to set that aside so that I can go ahead and sew these 2 down. And it's a little bit random on where you're going to grab your pieces from for chain piecing, but you just grab wherever makes sense. Either do a whole thing in one if you want, or chain piece what you can. Once you make one block, if you want to make multiples for a quilt, whether it's just a 4-patch or you want to make more, it does get easier once you see, just like anything else, once you see how the block goes together, then you're like, oh, okay, I get it. That's not a problem. And then you can stay there. And before I confuse myself really easily, so I just want to make sure that this is the one that gets the second white square diagonally across. It's a noon and you're in bed too, huh? Oh, Jackie, you're making it even more confusing. I'm just, when it comes to like the lives and stuff like that, I'm just going to say, hey, this is where I'm at. This is what time it is. Figure it out based on your country. Because there's so many of you from so many different states and different countries, I can't possibly, guess where everyone's at. So let's see, we have the dark one has gone here, and that means I am doing a diagonal one there. I am learning to double check instead of just going like the crazy sewer and then having the seam rip. I really don't like seam ripping. Seam ripping irks me because there's just so much of a chance to damage the fabric, Now, the one that just has the little, this one here that has the light gray with the two white background fabrics, it gets a little 1-inch dark gray. I'm going to go ahead and tuck this into the corner here because I don't need to double up on this one. This one I need to cut the extra off before I put that light gray square in. Now, if you don't get it all the way lined up properly and you don't sew diagonally exactly, I have a couple little spots that are slightly off, but I think once it's in a quilt or a project and it gets quilted, then it won't be noticeable. I show my patrons a lot my little oops. Let me show you what I mean by my little oops. And it's just things that I want to be aware of and to pay more attention to the next time. When I'm sewing the diagonal pieces together, a lot of times, you see how it's slightly, it's like 1/8 of an inch off? It's just a smidge. It's a smidge right here too. But it's not enough to worry about. But when I mention it, it's like, be aware that you could have this problem, and also that it's something I know I want to improve on as I'm sewing. All right, so here's these. Jody's gonna go ice skating. Boy, you're just looking for an accident, aren't you? Like, I know my balance is not all that great anymore. So I don't think I would dare ice skating. I can't think that I've actually ever really been ice skating other than when we lived in the little farmland in Connecticut. It would rain in the back part in the pasture area and everything, and ice would form, so there'd be little small ponds, and we'd go ahead and ice skate on that, but it was never really like ice skating. I like to watch the ones, is it Rockefeller Center in New York, where you see a whole bunch of people that are skating in the center, or Central Park, or in downtown Sumter and other somewhere. I've never been to New York City. Been to New York State, but it's fun to watch all the people on the holiday shows and to see them all skating together. And I keep thinking, in this area, if you got that many people together, there wouldn't be skating, there would be fighting. I don't think I could stay in bed like you do, Jody. I would go stir crazy. But I gotta have, at least let me get to the couch. That's the benefits of being in a one-story home, because most homes in this area are one-story. Two-story homes aren't very popular here. And then again, I'm just gonna wake up the iron. Hi, Morsey, you want some food? Feed little Morsey, and then we'll press those. So if you're making multiple blocks, you can stack them up on different design boards or put them all on one, or some people put each block like on a paper plate, but you can layer them up or something and then sew all of the, like this part of the handles, like all of these that have the snowballed two corners, you can sew all of those for the entire quilt after you've made your first test block to see how it goes. And then you can really chain piece that block like crazy. But if you go to the link, there's a picture for the entire block of the month that they're doing, and there's several other, I think there's 12 blocks in it, one for each month, and there's a lot of nice designs. I know I saw a rotary cutter in there. Man is a strange beast. All right. So again, the directions tell you which way to press all of these, but I didn't want to go switching back and forth. More cat cameos. Oh, you don't have a couch? Well, but do you have like chairs, like rocking chairs, like recliner chairs or something like that? We had a couch and two recliners, and Rob sat in one recliner. There was a couch in between us, and I sat in the other. I had a rocking recliner. I still have it here. It's out. It's actually against this wall. I don't know what that room is called. It's not quite the living room. It's not the dining room. It's just something. It's something between the living room and the kitchen. But yeah, we never really sat on the couch. I covered it and let the cats. Now, cats cameo, I don't know if we're going to have any, but my daughter's cats, they're very long-legged and very, very, very skinny and lean, and they're very, like, real, like, out in the wild cat-like lions and tigers and bears. Oh, my cat-like. Well, not bears, of course, but, you know. And they can jump from the floor onto this table. And one of them is eyeballing me right now. And she's tried jumping on this table before, but I don't want her to get into that habit. My girls are more short-legged, kind of stocky like me. You know, we're all kind of like fat cats in this house, and they can jump across, but they don't jump up. And for the most part, they're pretty good, and they know not to get on the table. But with it being in this house and me doing everything here, and it's in the bedroom, they kind of have like lost those rules, and they do whatever they want. A den? No, I don't know. It's like there's a living room. Well, I guess it's weird. So this is a rectangular room, right? And there's the front door, the garage door, and the windows over here, and that's where the couch and the TV is. But right here outside the wall is the hole in the wall where you could put the cord for the TV down. But you'd have to put the TV almost next to the breakfast bar. So when you come in the room, there'd be like a whole empty space here, and you'd have to walk in front of everyone watching TV. Where with this way, the kids have it set up. They made a little hallway with the couch, and you watch TV here. And then this big space has got like a cat tower and all that. Oh, I just pick up. All right, hold on. Come here, Morsey. Come here, sweetie. Poor Morsey has been not feeling well. I had to take her to the vet. Hey, want to say hi? I said hi. What's up, baby? Oh, yeah, my babies. There we go. I'll say hi. Oh, there you are. Okay, she's done with me. She was having like, all I can describe it is like a seizure. Her eyes, her pupils got like huge, and she would just like freeze and like just stare into space, and she was like stiff as a board, and then it's like she would like fall over or something. So it's like a neurological thing, but they said all of her numbers and everything are right. And they said it's just that she's stressed out. Like all 5 cats are stressed out. Everyone's being weird. I've been telling my kids, they think I'm strange, but I said my cat's fur smells funny. Because my cats, you can rub your face in their fur and it smells so fresh and clean, and they're really good about keeping themselves nice and clean. But we get here and they like smell funny. I think they're letting out some pheromones to guard against the other cats. So I had to buy, let me show you what we bought. I call it my Cat Glade plug-in, but we got this Feel Away plug-in, and it's got pheromones in it to calm down the cats. And after having it in this room for 3 days, all of my cats smell clean again. All of their fur is clean. They're all coming out from hiding, and they're just being good now. They're just, well, they're screaming and yelling for food half the time because they're confused because I'm in the room all the time. But they're so much better. It's a $25 thing plus like $20 to refill it. But I'm thinking it's really kind of worth it because my girls are feeling better now. They're coming, like I said, they're coming out of hiding. They're being more active, and it's just better for them. So I bought a second one, and I put it in my daughter's room because her cats are grumpy. Her cats are very grumpy. So let's see, put this there, and this one goes down here. Whoops. Make sure you have your scissors pointing in the right direction. And then this gray block goes there. This gray block goes there. And here's my scissors pointing in the direction. And then that block and that block. So I still need to sew this stitch and flip, but that gives me an idea of how to sew my block together. Now for this one, again, I have to put the light gray one down first and stitch it corner to corner. So it's going to go over just a little bit on that. So I'll stitch that and then press it open, cut it and all that, and then I'll do the next one. No, the cats don't do well with changes, and they don't know. I mean, they know my kids because my kids lived at home. My cats are like 7, 9, and 11, and the kids, you know, they've only been out of the house for 6 years, so they all know them and everything. Plus, when they come over and visit, but taking them from the home, the only home they've known in their routine, and then popping them over here with 2 crazy cats, it's been a little stressful for them. But if it takes $20 a month to take 3 cats and keep them happy, then I'm willing to do it. Then I have to cut this one. Robbie, you can come out here if you want.
I was messing with the cat.
Oh, okay. I thought I've heard your door open a few times, and I'm like, oh, you're leaving. Okay. I'm like, feel free to come out. We're not doing anything. Hey, don't make the cats meow. I'm live.
Oh.
He's like, is Mom doing videos or is she live? No, Mom's live. Don't make the cats meow. That's my daughter's cat. That's most likely Lily, because there's Lily and Daisy, and Lily just likes to meow. And they are attention. They need all kinds of attention. So pop the dark gray one on. I'm using a grunge gray, so it's got gray with some slight bits of blue in it, but I like it. Hi, Sandy. This one is specifically for cats, but if you Google like or check on Amazon for calming things for dogs or something, that I looked for pheromones for cats or something, and once you start typing it into Google or Amazon, you know, all the suggestions come up, and they might have something for the dogs. I don't know if dogs do pheromones. I would think they do. I mean, humans do. So oh, I missed something. My cat got very stressed when I was packing to move to Maine and making short trips. He's better now that I don't go anywhere. Yeah, they get so used to a habit and a routine that when you change it up. I tell my cats all kinds of things. I talk to them all the time. But I told my daughter when she got her cats like 2 or 3 years ago, I said, cats, all 3 of my cats are like, I call them my 2-time cats. So if you do something once, it's okay. But if you do something twice, the cats are going to expect it. It becomes a routine. You guys were laughing at Robbie, yeah. He thought I was, because I do this and record videos the same way. The only thing that's different on my setup is my camera's here versus here, and I have a microphone on. Yeah, I tell them, I don't care if they make noises or whatever. Try to keep the severe vulgarity down. And Robbie's like, oh, and you don't want me to say racist things? I'm like, no, I don't want you to say racist things while on my YouTube channel. He wouldn't anyway, but he was just giving me a hard time. So, because I can edit things out, but it's live today, Robbie. I don't think I remembered to warn him that I was a live stream day. Yeah, check. Oh, they do? Yeah, check Amazon. There has to be something. Definitely, if you go to a vet regular, you check with a vet, take a picture of what they want to give you, because I bought that at the vet because I wanted something now, and the vet was just being, you know how vets are, and it cost me $50 or $52 or $56 at the vet, and it's $25 on Amazon. I could have gotten 2 for the price of 1. All right, so there's my block. Now I'm going to sew these 2 little pieces on. And then after that, it's just sewing it together like you would like a 9-patch type block or something like that. The package said it could take 7 days, but since I'm in a small room and like there's no windows and only the one door, and I do have a ceiling fan, but I angled it so, okay, I have these lights for the studio, and they're this big rectangle plasticky thing with a cover on everything. So when I put it away over by the desk, I angle the light so that the air conditioning vent right above it hits it, and the AC blows right onto the little pheromone thing plugged into my outlet there, because I have the extension cord thing up there, the surge protector. So I'm like, hey, maybe it'll help blow it around better. But my girls started to react to it within 3 days, so I think it worked really good. Oh, you really rarely hear anything in the background? Yeah. When I'm doing videos, like you can hear the wash. It's really weird. It's really weird because if I close the door, it really blocks off sound in this room. But you can hear the washing machine because it's just, I don't know, 15 feet from here. I was laughing with Justin today because I was trying to get work done, but I don't ever want to not talk to my kids, So Justin, the dining room is like right there. It's like 10 feet. So he was sitting at the dining room table talking to me while I was here trying to get work done. I'm like, this room is too close to the kitchen because I can't get any work done if someone keeps talking to me. Make sure I sewed it on the right way. I edit out a lot. I edit out my mistakes and I repeat myself. So if something's happening, as long as I don't have to re-sew it, I usually just edit it out of the regular videos. And if I have to re-sew it, I just kind of leave it in. I think it depends on if you're wearing headphones too, or ear pods or whatever, because when I'm editing it, I can hear like Justin's got the TV or the video games going, but I think it's mostly because I know what that sound is in the background. But I decided that this is life. We all have things that we're doing in our life, and right now I'm not living alone in a quiet house. In the other house we had traffic. Here we have the kids. Whatever, it all balances out. I do miss looking out the window at the traffic going by and watching, the world pass by the house because I was on that main road. Here we're really set back in a neighborhood, and the craziness is a little bit further away. So, okay, put that there and that there. Now I'm just going to, what I've been doing is, since I have the tendency to flip things when I go from here to the sewing machine, I take this and I put it so that there's a space, so I know that this spot here goes to there. So when I put these, because when you put them right next to each other, then I don't know, am I sewing it here or there, because there's 4 sides. So this way I can see that there's a space right there, and I know that that's where I'm going to sew it. So I'm going to do columns because I'm really a column type sewer. I think what you learn, you just, like the cats, when you learn it and it becomes a habit, you just kind of stick with it. So I can go ahead and stitch all of those. Tuck my microphone back under. There we go. And then make sure you're at the 1/4 inch this time because we're switching over from what we're stitching. One of my cat runs to hide as soon as the bell rings. Oh, when the doorbell rings, forget it here. I didn't have a doorbell at the other house. Rob and I disconnected it. So now I'm going to have the problem where I have this going to the white and going to the white there. So what I'm going to do, let me make sure I'm sewing the right thing now. Yes. So when I take this, I'm going to put it underneath the needle and I'll start sewing it just a little bit here. And as I start stitching, I'll decide, usually the block tells you if I want to flip the bottom one up, but I usually take this top one and just flip the seam up as I'm sewing. So I'm going to adjust the seams as I go and then decide where I want them to be there. Yeah, it is weird that everything sounded so loud to me, but you guys couldn't hear it. And again, I'm editing on my headphones. I have like the regular headphones that you get with your iPhone that I edit on, and I also turn the volume up a lot in the edited video, so it's super loud. I take it from, it usually starts out at like 100, and I put it up to 352 usually. So it gets pretty, it's not like painful loud, it's comfortable, but I want to make sure that you can hear. Even when I remember to put a microphone on for like a Whip It Wednesday, then I still go ahead and I turn it up. Because you guys can always turn the volume down if it's too loud, but you can't turn it up past a certain point if it's too quiet. Now you could go through and double check to make sure all of your blocks, I think these are all 3.5 inch squares that we use for the background base. You can double check. And then I'll just flip that seam over. You can double check to make sure that you're still at the same size. Now this one, I don't have any seams that are intersecting, so I'll leave them as they are. Because as I'm looking, sometimes my blocks are a little off. Because if your stitch and flip corner isn't perfect, I I just kind of let it go. I think when you know the noise is there too, like you expect to hear it, that it's easier to hear. It's nice here. It's very quiet. You can just kind of there's a covered porch. They call it a Florida room. It's all screened in out back. And okay, for those of you in Arizona, based on the houses I've been looking at, it's just like your covered porches in the backyard you guys have, but just picture it all screened in. Because every house I've looked at for rentals, the back porch isn't screened in. We have a lot of bugs, like mosquitoes and gnats and no-see-ums and all that. So we have to screen our porches in. That does make it hard, Giovanna, and I have that same problem. I hope if you guys ever have a problem with me, I can't usually fix what video is already done. Like, if you watch my older videos, you'll notice some of them are really quiet like this, because I didn't know to adjust the volume in editing. I didn't know how to do all that stuff. And I'm not a master at editing, but I can at least pump the volume up a little bit. But when someone's been around for years, or has like 100 videos, when I can't hear it, I'm like, oh, come on, what did you say? Turn it all the way up, and then if I don't remember to turn it back down when the next video comes up, and then you get blasted, I'm like, uh-oh. And that's not, that's not like a complaint. That's just, this is what happens. I get it. I totally get it, because I know I drop the ball on things too. I mean, it's just part of being human, and this is not, it's not an easy process in life to be on YouTube. It's not hard. Oh, normally when I do this, I'll put a spacer. I'll stitch the blocks that I need for the first column, and then I'll take one of my scraps of fabric that I put underneath there as my leader ender thing, and I'll sew it in between so I'll know exactly where to stop. But now I'll just look 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Now for these, I'll still keep going before I even do them. I have lilacs out on my window, and there's many birds in them. I don't mind singing in my bed. It's just got a cement floor, just like a concrete floor like you would have for a driveway. You guys want to see? I mean, afterwards I'll show you it real quick if you want to see it. It's nothing exciting. Maybe it'd be better off if I remember to do a little quick video for Whip It Wednesday, and then I'll just give you a little look at what it looks like. I'm going to snip these threads just for this block. Sometimes I leave everything connected, and I do the spiderweb chain piecing, but I want to be able to go like this. And it's just easier. Things don't get twisted for me if I do this process. You have to know what works for you. And even if you're not doing what I'm doing or everyone else is doing, if it works for you and you end up with a good final product that you want, do whatever works, That's what I do. I make it up as I go along. I lived in Miami for 3 years. Oh, yeah. Yeah. My car has always got spider webs down at the tailpipe area. They really like that area. Or where the side mirror goes to the door, driver's door and stuff. Yeah. Robbie's not here, so I can say it. Robbie doesn't like spiders. He's always had a problem ever since he was really young. So we don't tell him that there's spiders in this house, and he pretends like there aren't, and he knows there are. But Florida houses are notorious for spiders. We have spiders all the time. But that's why we like the little lizards, because they eat them. But the spiders are good too because they eat stuff. I just have a rule that the spiders aren't allowed in the kitchen or my bedroom. You see, I don't see that many spider webs here. We have them on the ground in the grass and when the morning dew hits it. But since we just have... yeah, I'll do a tour of the yard. we have just the yard's empty. It's just grass. There's no trees in this yard. There might have been one tree before, but the hurricane knocked down so many of them. But we don't have like a lot of bushes and trees and stuff. Most yards here are just pretty empty. There's nothing in them, so we don't see a lot of like the spider webs that you can walk into when you're walking through the woods and stuff. Yeah, they eat the mosquitoes and stuff. But I don't want them, you know, I don't want them in my meatloaf and I don't want them in my bed. If we have them, like we had black widows in the garage and we didn't mess with them. They had their little eggs in the garage door. We didn't open the big garage door and stuff. So Rob called them his little pets and he just left them alone because they're not bothering anyone. And as long as they're just out in the garage, then, you know, we didn't really care. I leave them. As long as the cobwebs, spider webs aren't too big up against the ceiling, I let them stay up there. But the rules are is you can't come below my head. I'm like 5'7", so you have to stay at the top. Once you get down to my height, if I can reach you without a ladder, then you're too low and you gotta go. Now I know the spiders don't understand me, but I tell them these things and they do it. Yeah, they stay on the ceiling. That's it. As long as you guys stay up there, I'm fine with you. My problem is ants. Those drive me crazy. Because you have to be careful of your food. Now, I've gotten very good at keeping all the counters and everything wiped down, keeping the floor clean, you know, watching for crumbs and stuff. Because we also have roaches and palmetto bugs. And I don't care how clean your house is, when you're living in a humid, wet, tropical type environment, you're going to get creatures. Yeah, we call them the housekeeping spiders. They're like this big, but when you swat them or step on them, they shrink down to like nothing. So they look big, bad, and scary to protect everything, but they're not a problem. So we usually let them live. So there we go. There's my block. Now I just have to sew the rows together. So I'm going to press them one way and the other and the other and the whatnot. And you can go ahead and do them, press them open. What I did with the yellow block is I've been spritzing the seams of the rows to make it easier to press them. And then that way, it gives that little extra steam and moisture to make it press it a little bit easier. Yeah, I'll do a little outside tour of this house. The kids are still pretty well living in this house, and I told them I wouldn't show anything much on YouTube, like inside the house, so they can have their own little messes. It's their house. I told them, this is your house. I'm just staying at your house. I will follow your rules to a certain point. I'm still your mother. You know, I expect a certain amount of respect, but I respect you also. And if you want to leave your breakfast bar full of mail and whatnots and water bottles and stuff, that's your business. It's your house. And I'll keep what I need to clean and stuff. So I don't want to show anything. It's not like it's a mess, but it's a whole privacy thing. But I'll take it and I'll do a tour outside. And then before we leave here, if I leave at the same time the kids do, I'll do a quick video inside, and I'll do a video inside of the new house in Arizona, but just not the outside. Oh, I heard those are big. The huntsman spiders. Australia has some really big things. Oops, sorry, that must have been loud. Okay. So then I have to take this, and I'm usually working on a bigger mat over there, and I just take all of my blocks, and I lay them out like this. Because again, I don't want to sound like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm so confused. But I just get to watching a TV show or listening to an audiobook or talking to you guys, and I forget what I'm doing, and I press it the wrong way, and then I've got to come back and repress it. And I don't know about you guys, but when I press my fabric one way, it does not like to go the other way. So I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to press everything to the left. I'm going to repress any seams that I may have flip-flopped so that they're laying nice. That's the one good thing about the double pointed iron. And this one is really nice and steamy too. So there is row 1. And that's going to the left. So row 2 needs to go to the right. So I'm going to grab it like this and press everything this way. And yeah, I tend to do a little bit more ironing than pressing, and I know that's part of my problem that I have issues with. But that's my problem and my issues, and I work on it. So this one needs to go to the left. Now where that little bit is with the scissors, that's a lot of seams, so you might need to like press that one open or something if you want, or just be stubborn with it. I think if I were doing this as a full quilt of these, I would probably be a little bit more particular. But I think for tote bags, or I want to press to the right, or just a mini quilt with just 4 of them, I'm not going to worry too much about the seams in this one. They're doing pretty good. We're not always happy. Could you use starch? You could, but I think you might have to do that before you cut everything out. Because everyone told me, because I had blocks stretch and do weird things, they say you have to starch the fabric before you cut it. Now I guess you could put a little bit on. If you go to my Amazon wish list, there's an idea that I learned. I haven't picked them up yet, but they're just sitting on my wish list. They have these brushes that you could put water in a tube, and it has like I think it has either a thin brush or a foamy brush or something on it. They use it for like watercolor. But they were showing me in a video I watched that if you do like paper piecing, you take that little brush with the water in it and you wet on the seams, and it makes it easier to remove the paper. So I was thinking you can also wet on the seams and make it easier to press them. I don't know how much it would work, but I haven't done enough to think about it yet, so I haven't picked that up. But if you want to see what I'm talking about, it's in my wish list. Oh, and speaking of ideas and stuff, the last live stream we talked about how I could get a crisp edge, what I can put inside my bags to help hold it so when I press it, it stays. And someone, I think it might have been you, Giovanna, had a great idea that you can put a spatula in here. Because they're heat resistant, usually up to like 450, 500 degrees. I could put a spatula in here and press it. And I thought that was a great idea. I haven't found the one that I really want yet on Amazon because I haven't looked too much. But they have fish ones that are, there's, you know how a spatula has the bend in it, so in the handle, so you can go like this? Yeah, I thought so. It was a brilliant idea, Giovanna. Thank you so much. I love it. I think about it all the time, and I wander on Amazon, and I just can't make a decision on which ones I want yet. But a fish spatula is one size all the way up, so I wouldn't have to like bend the handle at all. Excuse me. Now these two are going to be sewn together, and these two, and then I'll sew all of them together. I like to press each section of 2 together just to avoid trying to press the whole thing. And you can pin because you want to make sure. Yeah, the water brushes. They said it for the removing the paper, but I was thinking if you put starch in one, you could put a little starch on here if you wanted, just like pinpoint where you want your starch, or a little bit of water, and that would do really good. So you can pin or use your quilting clips to put them on here. I'm just going to start lining up the end, and I stitch for maybe an inch. And then I go through and I find my first intersection and I line it up. And then I go ahead and hold this a little bit and I stitch it. And when I get past this intersection, I line this one up. Because sometimes I pin, depending on how many intersections there are. Because there's like just 2 pieces of fabric, then intersections, then intersections. So if it's smaller blocks, like 2.5-inch squares, I definitely pin because it just works good. Hi, Susan. You made it. Hi. Becky is Bays, right? Bays is Becky. Tell me if I'm wrong. I could be, but you were missing for a little bit, and we missed you, and then you're back again. Yeah, I have a metal one, but it's a little bit big, especially it's for hems, but it wouldn't go into all of my zipper pouches for like my coin bags, my coin pouches and stuff. So we were just trying to brainstorm last live stream on what I can use, because they had the iron finger for, iron for ironing, not iron as in metal. And I just hold my finger on it, and then I line up the next intersection. And it allows me, if I need to give it a little stretch, or if I need to fix any of, where my seams are going. Because sometimes you want to push the bottom seam up, and sometimes you want to move the top. Because if you look at it, if your white parts and everything aren't lining up, if this area is not lining up, for me, I find it's usually because I have my seam allowance not matched up right. Like I didn't push one way and one the other, so it works out really good. Excellent, I got it right. Woohoo! Only because both of them start with a B, so I kind of caught on to that one. Some of them I remember. I know people come and go, and not everyone is here for the lives, and they can't always make it for everything, so it's always fun when people come back to visit again, see what we're up to. Everyone's busy. We all have lives. I lean over to the side. I always put my head over to the right, like I can see better. I don't know. And yes, I could pin it, and it would probably take less time and all that, but then I would have to pin it, and I'm stubborn sometimes. Then I put this one. Robin, you need to clean your machine and oil. Yeah, you can hear the squeak. I know it needs to be oiled. This machine, you can't oil it. It has to go into the shop. All the shops closed down during COVID, and then we had the issues, and then we had the hurricane, and now I need to go find a shop to have it oiled. I know it needs to be oiled. It's been a few years now, so it needs to have a good spa day. There's only one shop, and I really don't like the owner, and he also the one that works on the sewing machines, and I just have to get over it and drive to the next town and deal with all the traffic and just let him have it for a week or so. He should like me because my Juki is a nicer machine. He doesn't like people who have less expensive machines. He's very snobbish that way because he sells sewing machines. So if you don't have what he likes, he tries to get you to buy his machines. And when you don't want to or you can't afford to, he gets mad at you. And when it comes to small businesses, I want to put my money, in the right spot. Let's see if we have the same thing. I bought this, a hot hammer, but it's too flimsy. I need something a little stiffer that I can put in there. And I tried putting this in because it has the nice little spots, because some of it's got angles and stuff, so you can do your corners for your bags. And I think it's a great little tool. I haven't played with it much, but it's much too flimsy. So it has a curve, so that's nice, and it has the straight corners, which is nice, but I need something really sturdy that I can forcefully put in there, and this is just too flexible. Yep, but the directions for the sewing machine says not to put oil there. Everyone tells me that, Giovanna, and that's how a lot of the machines are, but I haven't heard from anyone that has this machine that they've done that. This machine gets greased in certain areas. It doesn't actually get oil, so it's a little bit different. But I want to play with this and figure out what else you can do with it so I can do a video with it. So when I took the machine and I flipped it upside down to get all of the extra gunk out from underneath here, that's when I noticed it has globs of grease like you do for your car when you put it in for bearings and stuff like that. So it's got chunks of grease in there. So I don't think, based on that and the instructions I read in the manual, you're not supposed to grease this. I mean, you're not supposed to oil it. Which was why I was sewing on the brother sewing machine so much, because, you know, I worry, I didn't want to like torture this one with all of the kind of that squeak it's got to it, but I don't know. I like this one because it has the automatic thread cutter, and that works really well when I'm making bags and stuff. So I do like the, if you want to know how to press a seam, do the watch, what is it? Just Get It Done quilt here on YouTube. She shows you how to, this was a game changer for me, and how to press it with your hands first. And then you can go through and press with your iron so you're not like scrubbing it, because depending on like how you're using it and how you cut your fabric, you could have bias cuts and everything somewhere. So you have to be careful, like you're not, like I do, you don't want to scrub it like I do. I really like my hot hammer for folding and iron precise measurements. Yeah, that sounds like great. I feel like it's going to be an amazing tool that I haven't played with it yet. It's not what I want. And in my head, I'm being very particular, because it's, sometimes you get it in your head where you know what you want, but you can't tell anyone else. And I thought about the rubber spatulas like you scrape a bowl out with, but I didn't get, and it sat in my mind, and I'm like, there's something about this that's going to work. That's something that I need. And it didn't connect to use a regular spatula like when you flip a burger or pancakes. So it was great when Giovanna suggested it, because then it went ding, 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 ding. Whoops. Ding, 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 ding. Yes, that's what I need. Yeah, that's how the Juki is, because I checked it over and over, because many of you have told me over and over again, you know, that I need to put the drops of oil, and I didn't want to do anything because it's an expensive machine, and I wanted to double check. And the other people online that have it, they don't say anything about oiling their machine or anything like that, so I'm like, I don't know. So I just did a whole bunch of research, and I read the manual over and over about that section, and they're like, no, don't oil it. You don't want to oil it. So it's just going to have to go into the shop. Yeah, it was a great idea. Let me write that down. Pen, 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 paper, paper, paper. Oh, let's use this. I don't mind doing things myself because I've taken the machine apart a bit anyway. I mean, if I get the right stuff, I just don't want to put the wrong stuff in, you know, and make it worse. And then when you go to the sewing machine shop because you messed it up, it's like when you try to cut your own hair and you go to the hairdresser and they give you a hard time. Claire, Rowley, sewing machine maintenance. Tuck that over there for now. And by pressing the two, I feel like I get a better press on each of these rows. So now I can take these two together, and see, again, I left them offset, so when I remember, because I was just going to pick this up and sew it here, and I would have ended up with this, and then I would have had to make another scissor for there and another handle for up there, and I wasn't going to take it apart. So I go like this, and that helps me remember. So it's like whatever you have to do yourself to remind yourself of whatever, to take your medications and vitamins and stuff every day, to remember to get gas in your car and stuff like that, whatever it is. So that's what needs to be done. I really like my Juki. I love my brother, but when I sew on my brother's sewing machine for a while, I'm like, I love this machine. It's the greatest. It's the best. And then when I switch to the Juki, I'm like, oh, I forgot how good the Juki is. It's like butter. it goes so smoothly, and it does seem a little louder, even not counting the squeakiness, but just the sewing in general. Now I've got some, oh, it's 4:30, yep. Cats are starting. I just want to make sure there's extra thickness where all those little gray squares are coming together for that screw area on the center of the scissors. And then I can just go through. I'm learning, take the time to do it right the first time and don't rush it, because otherwise you'll have to do it again. And then this. I do miss having the big table that comes off of here, because I had the cutting space here, but I had 2 tables in the other room, so I could really like spread everything out, and I had a lot of space. So I really like that. So it just reminds me, when I get to my next location and I start looking at like IKEA cabinets, or I go out and I check for like free bookcases and stuff. I like how they take the 4 bookcases and they turn them in certain ways, and then they put a door on top, like a flat door with no recessed edges to it, and they make a big sewing or cutting table out of that. Because then with the bookcases in each area, or the kitchen cabinets, you have a spot to tuck everything in, your cutting stuff or your fabric, and then you have that giant table on top to press or cut on. So I really like that idea too. So I always keep that in my Pinterest to, I have a lot of sewing room organization. I like to watch the videos on YouTube. I was nervous there for a second. I thought I did something wrong. This seam I find is the hardest, because now mine didn't line up perfectly here. It's good here, not so good there. But again, little things like that I think will come out with the quilting. So what I was doing is, I have these, come on microphone, I have these little spray bottles sitting down here on the floor, my little Dollar Tree bottles. I like these versus the tall clear ones, because the tall clear ones, a little spray thingy always breaks on them. Yeah, each sewing machine is so different. And I just take, sometimes I will, trying to see Justin was using these for making bread. He had to spritz water on it to make the bread steamy in the oven. So he changed the nozzle. So sometimes I'll just spritz it lightly with water like that. I don't know what he did with that one. That one's not right. I got water everywhere. So I'll spritz it like that, and then you have to be careful, because if you get it too wet, you can really get your block all out. Hi, Catherine. You can get your block all out of square and stuff like that. But if it's really bad, you can spritz it with water like that. And then you can take it here and you can put your 12.5-inch ruler on it. And you can make sure all of your lines are at the 12.5-inch mark. Put a bunch of pins in your wool mat, the glass ones that you can iron over. And then you can go ahead and block your block. So then the pins will hold it. I would put, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like 15 of them across each edge. And then as you block it, you spritz it with water. And then after you iron it, you let it sit until it's totally dry and your wool mat is cooled down. And then your block will stay at 12.5 inches. So if you have something that's a little off somewhere because of all the bias and the seams, you can always give it a little bit of a tug here and there. And ta-da! I have a not perfect scissors block. I know. Why do I keep saying it's not perfect? Because I want you guys to know that not everything is going to come out perfect. Like when you see this in person, you're like, wow, it really sticks out to me. But once this is in a project and I start quilting it, it's gonna, especially if I quilt along the scissors area here, it's all gonna blend in and it works out nice. It all settles out. So don't worry if you have a little oops, especially if you're making it for yourself, because you'll see with each quilt or each block how much you've improved and how better your skills are getting. And it's nice to see. I like to see how I improve. Now I have a red one that I'll put there. So either I'll make it into a 4-patch, or thank you, I'll turn it into a 4-patch, or I'll make each one individual. I really feel like at 12.5 inches, these need to be like tote bags. Like maybe one individual, put a skinny border around it, and then maybe like that fun scissors fabric that I just bought, put a bigger border around it and make like, this is a mini quilt, this is a tote bag, this is a tote bag, and stuff like that. You bought the pattern, when you buy the PDF for $4 versus scrolling down and getting it for free, it'll make it a lot less confusing, because the PDFs, I like how they do that, because you don't get like all the ads. The blogs are great because they give you those free patterns, but to get through all of the ads that they need to help support themselves, it can be hard. So when you can buy the pattern, it's always nice. But I like this. So I have this block with scissors now, and then there's the one you can purchase on Etsy where it's just the top of the scissors and then the spool of thread. So it's really fun. I think this would be too, the bigger ones for like the cross stitch ones where you have the vinyl on the front. You could put that, or you could put this on the front or back of a quilted one without the vinyl window. There's so many things you can do with just this block and not turning it into an entire quilt. Sorry, Sandy, but you know what? I have used many things from Crafty Stacy. She has a lot of fun things. That's where the month of mugs are that I'm doing with my patrons. So supporting a designer like that is also kind of nice. And it's only $4, so $4 isn't too bad. It is for one block, but I've seen some quilt patterns that are very expensive. Does anyone have any questions? I think we're just about done for today now. We're not going to go live now until September 1st. That's the first Friday of September. The link for this is down below in the description box. Maybe I should, as soon as I'm done here, go in and edit it so that you could say that you can get it for free if you scroll down, or purchase the PDF for $4. Because when I first got it, I'm like, oh, it's not free anymore. And then I scrolled down, I'm like, oh, there's the pattern. If you're one of my patrons, you're used to me doing that because I do it all the time. And everyone who's interested, remember I have the Barbie zipper pouch. I am actually going to cut fabric for a Barbie tote bag. And yeah, I'm going to do it in my scrappy version, because some of this Barbie fabric is just fun. I'm not a Barbie person, but of course, I mean, you have to. So to see bear scrubbers, things like that won't be going into the shop until I get enough for like a Christmas sale, so that I can stock up on them. So I thought the Barbie fabric, it's a Barbie craze, so right, you may as well join in on it. And I'm not a Barbie person, but I like the black and pink, of course, so it's really fun. So there is a variety of fabrics. So I thought it would be fun to make a tote bag using some of these. Like all these Barbie heads, those are fun. And I like this silhouette. That's a fun one too. And then more Barbie. And I just get a kick out of these faces. Someone sent me the scraps and I had a bunch of these faces here. And then I had to, it's really hard to get Barbie fabric because there was a Barbie convention recently. Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad you guys can join us. I have fun just hanging out and chatting with everybody. But there was a Barbie convention like at a quilt con, not a quilt con, a comic con. They had like a Barbie convention thing there, or at an antique something. I was talking to someone online and I couldn't get the fabric because it was all sold out. So it was really hard. I had to buy a fat quarter bundle. But then here's the scissors fabric. This might be a little bit much to go around the block. But the way, anyways, I'm going to cut a bunch of bits off of these. I think I'm going to make a little bit bigger of a zipper pouch with the gusseted type bottom there where you cut out the corners, and then like a tote bag. So there's going to be a bunch of those. But what I was thinking is if we have this, let's see what it looks like. Well, yeah, the film came out, so that's why the Barbie thing is really big right now. But people are realizing a lot of times it comes out and you're thinking, oh, well, Barbie dolls are for kids and stuff like that. But I heard it's a really adult film. It's almost bedtime, and yeah, it's a little bit different in UK. When we go over to Arizona, it's going to help a lot of the UK people out. So let's see. Oh, but that's not too bad. It's a little busy because I can see it right there in my computer. It's a little bit busy, but maybe with a little white border to separate it off, and then that might be fun. And I think when you do it like in a tote bag versus a pillow, it still looks kind of good. When I was at Hobby Lobby getting all of my last round of fabric, which is another reason I need to go in storage and get fabric out, because Hobby Lobby is too easy to get to now. And they have a lot of fabric that I haven't seen at Joann's Fabric and stuff, so I pretty much bought them all out now, so there's nothing new until the holiday stuff comes out, so I'm safe. But anyway, this one girl was buying tulle. She was 25. Her boyfriend, a couple of her girlfriends, her younger brother, she was making all little tulle skirt thingies there that the little dancer girls wear. All I could think of was hula skirts, and that's not it. But anyway, she was making a whole bunch of them to wear over their like shorts and stuff to go to the Barbie film. So it's kind of like, what is that movie? Oh, Robin, you've been around too long this morning. The movie where they throw toast at the screen. It's a very interactive movie where everyone dresses up to go to it. Even like Tutu, there you go, yeah. So she was making a whole bunch of light pink and dark pink tutus for everyone to wear. So she was getting the elastic and the tutu fabric, the mesh fabric really adds up really quick because it's only $1.29 a yard, but then she needed like 25 yards of it, 40 yards of it. So it really started adding up. I'm like, okay, now I can see. Yeah, better to shop my stash. But the problem is I got all excited to move from the one house thinking Arizona, Arizona, and I packed it all up in the storage, and now I don't have it here. So I have to go get it. Especially with the holidays coming up, I have an idea for a Halloween tote, and then I want to start working on some Christmas things, so it needs to be done a couple months ahead of time. So I can see right now that this block is not, I can see it has a little bend. So if it has a little bit extra, it's not that big of a deal. That's why you can put, if this block isn't 12.5 and you're only making this block, if you put a little 1 or 2 inch border, a finished border, like 1.5 to 2.5 inches, and then you square that up. You square it up with your sashing or something. You can take a block that's not quite 12.5 inches and make them all work out so that they all fit. But I think this would look really good as a little wall hanging. But all right, I should let you guys go so you can enjoy your evening. For those of you that are in bed, you can stay in bed. And for everyone else, like me, I have to go make meatloaf. Who wants to come make meatloaf with me? My zucchini aren't going to last another day, so I have to cook them up. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I have no idea what we're going to make in the next live stream, but if anyone has a suggestion for something like this, we can either do a quilt or we can do blocks or a small project, something that we can do together. I think that would be really fun. Otherwise, I will find something. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I really do appreciate that. In all of my antics, all of the cats have gone away and gone back to bed. Shh. Oh, no. I would show you my daughter's cats, but I don't think she'll let me pick her up. She just opened her mouth and made no noises. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you guys later. Whip It Wednesday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. I have something fun on Fridays unless I do a different tutorial. I'm sorry, I got lost thinking. Bye.